Welcome back to Joe Stunner Boxing. So, Justis Huni of Australia defeats Andrew Tabiti over 10 rounds, a unanimous 10 round decision. One judge had it a whitewash, 100 to 90. The other two had it 98 92. I had it 99 91, I think. But there's no doubt who won, and that was Justis Huni. And you can sum this fight up with one sentence. One guy was bigger than the other, right? Because Huni was just too big for Tabiti. Tabiti is a former cruiserweight and a good fighter. I mean, he came in with 20 wins, 16 KOs, one defeat. The one defeat was back in 2019. He got knocked out in 10 rounds by Uriel Dorticos, and that was for the IBF World Cruiserweight title, vacant belt. And he's 6'1", and he's just not big enough. He's got skills. He had power at cruiserweight, after that defeat, his career really stalled. I mean, he didn't fight for 2 years after that defeat. Probably COVID had something to do with that. He fought once in 2021 against a nondescript opposition, and then he had two fights in 2022. And his career is just. I don't know how old he is, but he's just not. He's moved up to heavyweight, probably looking for paychecks, but he's not going to win any fights. Not against really good guys. Now, Justis Huni, he came in with a 7-0 record. He's been professional for about 5 years, but he's had a lot of injuries. And of the 7 wins, 4 were by KO. He's 24 years old. He's 6'4", and this guy is a natural heavyweight. He looks big. He looks so much bigger than Tabiti. And so it proved. I mean, Tabiti in the opening round was skirting around the ring like, he was he was on some sort of sprint. And Huni was just trying to cut the ring off, was, doing it quite well, Neither of these guys really did anything wrong in this fight. Like I say, it was just one guy was just too big for the other guy. But eventually, after that first round, Tabiti then decided, I'm going to hang on the ropes because I can't keep this up. I'm using up too much energy. It's a 10-round fight. So he hung on the ropes, and with the hope of drawing Huni in and countering. And for a big portion of the fight, this is how it unfolded. Because Huni wasn't scared to come in. I mean, I suppose you could say he was Tabiti was kind of setting a trap because he was wanting to counterpunch, but it wasn't like he had any real power that was going to trouble Huni. In fact, it has to be said, Huni, although he did shake this much smaller man at times, he didn't have him in any real trouble. And after the Dorticos fight, people were questioning Tabiti's chin. I don't think there's anything wrong with his chin. I think he's got a pretty good chin. I mean, Huni is renowned for being, quite heavy-handed. He's untested in those 7 fights. He's had them all in Australia. He did win the Australian heavyweight title, in his first ever professional fight. But let's be honest, there aren't a lot of really good Australian heavyweights, and coming to America to fight, or actually in this case it was was it in Mexico? I can't remember. I'll have to have a look at that. But yeah, he was in a strange way. This was a learning fight for him, and he is only 24. And Tabiti, a smaller man, but nevertheless, quite heavy-handed, crafty. Got some good skills. He was asking questions of Huni. How are you going to, here I am. I'm a conundrum. I'm a problem. How are you going to open me up? I'm on the ropes. I'm hanging back. What are you going to do? I'm going to counter you. All these questions were being asked. And in fairness to Huni, at times he was, even though he was, standing right on Tabiti, even though Tabiti was on the ropes, he was fighting quite well on the inside as well. Huni, for a big man, he was doing quite well. Well, eventually, but by the way, Tabiti's corner were not happy that he was hanging on the ropes. They were like, it was a small ring. They were saying, get out into the middle of the ring, use your speed. Both men, including Huni, the much bigger man, had really quick hands, both of them. And they were firing, they'd sort of fire really speedy sort of 2s and 3s occasionally. Then there'd be a lull in the action, as if they were both, waiting for what's going to happen next. And then, bang, 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 bang. It was that sort of thing. And then there'd be another lull. But Tabiti came out of the corner, came off the ropes towards the end of the fight and started to sort of take the centre ring more and got a bit braver and started to throw hands at Huni. And Huni, to his credit, was throwing right back. It wasn't there was nothing wrong with his gas tank. Okay, he was fighting at the pace that he wanted to. And Tabiti, Tabiti's got to go back down to cruiser. If he can make cruiserweight, he needs to go right back down to that division because the guy's got talent. Tabiti, I don't know what he's doing as a heavyweight. He's not a heavyweight. But this was an excellent learning fight for Huni. And in the same way that, Steve Cunningham, about 7, 8 years ago, used to give a lot of heavyweights, some good workouts, but couldn't really beat a lot of them. I think it'd be a shame if Tabiti went down that route as a sort of heavyweight gatekeeper and fought good men, but never really had a chance to beat them because of his size, So Justis Huni, nothing wrong with his performance. It was a good, like I say, a good learning fight. 10 rounds of, really good work. He showed a bit of skill. It was his opportunity to work on what he's been doing in the gym. He'd been out for nearly a year. He has suffered from injuries. Hopefully they're in the past. And he's only 24. He can come back. And of course, Australian boxing's flying, absolutely flying. Jay Opataya, Kambosos, Tim Tszyu. With the ladies, you've got Sky Nicholson and maybe Ebony Bridges. Ebony Bridges is a world champ, of course. So, Australian boxing's doing really well. And I see no reason why Huni can't have a few more of these fights where he gets more rounds under his belt, more experience. Because, again, he's only 24 years old. He's a baby for a heavyweight. But Tabiti, go back down to cruiserweight, mate. You're not big enough for a heavyweight. So those are my thoughts on this fight. Leave your comments below if you've got any. Thank you for your time. As always, hit the subscribe button and the thumbs up button as well. And spread the word about Joe Stunner Boxing. Thank you as always. I'll read your comments and answer them. Nice one.